everyone. Welcome back to the Wimpy Studio, and today I'm here to talk about Hope Valley 1874, episode 6 and 7. I'm really liking the show, honestly, way more than I expected I would. Going into it, I don't know, I just felt it to be kind of not needed, kind of filler, not necessary. I mean, we already have When Hope Calls, so I'm like, do we really need this? Like another addition to the When Calls the Heart franchise? And it's really impressed me. I like it just as much as I liked When Hope Calls season 1. It's very good. The acting's great. The writing's great. It's definitely, each episode is just getting better and better. Like these 2 episodes I thought were really solid. And I'm looking forward to the finale. So I was not expecting to have such a positive outlook on the show in general, but I'm really optimistic about it. I definitely think this will probably get renewed for a season 2, because I think it seems to be doing really well, really successful. But episode 6 is called Common Ground, and this episode, it focuses on a lot of things, but the main thing is that it's Jim's birthday, and that's bringing up grief for Rebecca and Sarah. And I gotta say that the first birthday after someone passes, the first Christmas, your birthday after someone passes, their death anniversary, there's so many firsts, and each of them are like equally hard. It's just so hard to not have that person with you on your special day, on their special day, when they were so intertwined in your lives. I thought they handled it really good. We have Rebecca, she's experiencing burnout, and it's really common in grief to make yourself busy, to throw yourself into projects. It's a way to get through the grief, get through the pain, and move on. And we all know that doesn't work, and that catches up with you eventually. And Rebecca experiences that, and she faints. But she faints right into Tom's arms. So we get him as like a knight in shining armor, and like a Sleeping Beauty type moment. She just falls right back into his arms, and it was really sweet. He carries her into the boarding house, lays her on the couch, and then everyone kind of gathers around her. I really like that moment. I mean, that's such a classic trope. But the fact it was Tom to do it, it's sweet. He really cares about her, so I really like that moment. The boarding house finally opens. She's welcoming guests, and Alexander is her first visitor or guest, whatever you want to call him. He's going to be staying there. He's also going to be setting up meeting there, but he finds out he didn't really consult her about it. I have mixed feelings about Alexander, especially this episode. He was giving off some really weird vibes, and I'll talk throughout how exactly I feel about him, but he's very weird around Rebecca, and obviously he doesn't trust her. And I do think that with this upcoming thing with Jim's parents, I do think that there's going to be something that comes out about Rebecca, and it's going to be some ugly thing with Alexander. He's going to have a problem with her, and then Hattie and Olivia, especially Olivia, is going to be stuck in the middle. I definitely think that's going to be something that will start next episode and probably be a season 2 conflict as well. But Sarah does not like that Alexander is living with them. She doesn't want the Mountie to find out that they're on the run, or any, information about what happened with them before, which is completely understandable. I probably wouldn't want to be living in the same place as a Mountie either, if I'm being totally honest. But Rebecca takes it in stride. She's strong. She doesn't let it bother her. But she's struggling. First birthday without her husband, and she turns to Hattie for help because Hattie completely understands what it's like being a widow. And Sarah's able to bond with Olivia, who understands what it's like to not have a father. So I really like the parallel stories that they're telling here, and to kind of see people turning to each other who get it. Because sometimes people don't always get it, but there's always someone. There's always someone out there that knows exactly what you're going through. And everyone deals with grief differently. But we as people, we need people to turn to. We need comfort, especially when we're struggling. And the Hattie and Rebecca friendship is very much like an Elizabeth and Abigail friendship. But, it's so comforting, and Rebecca really needed that conversation with Hattie, and Sarah really needed that conversation with Olivia. Because Sarah, she's such a traumatized girl. She's had to go through way too much for someone at her age. So seeing someone, like Olivia to look up to is really good for her, I think. So I really like the parallel stories that they're telling there. And Sarah thinks that Rebecca forgot her dad's birthday, but Rebecca says, I will never forget. And they talk about how, they'll never forget him, but he'll always live on in their hearts. It was a really touching scene. It kind of brought tears to my eyes. I was not expecting to get teary-eyed while watching this show, just because it's so, I don't know. It's a spinoff show. It's usually doesn't provide the same feeling as like the original show, when, like When Calls the Heart in this case. Even then, I don't get teary-eyed often, but there's definitely instances where I do. A couple times this past season, in season 13, I definitely got emotional. But yeah, I got emotional in this episode with that scene. I haven't lost a parent, but I have lost people, and it's challenging. It's hard, especially that first birthday. It's really hard. I remember struggling with my grandma for my first birthday, just not getting that message from her, and it's really challenging. And her first birthday as well. It's weird not to have them there to celebrate with them. So, but you open up to the people closest to you, and you face it together. No one should have to go through that alone. No one. You have people who understand. Rebecca has Hattie, who understands what she's going through. So it's important to have those people with you during these tough times. So I thought the way they handled this grief was really well done. And at the end, we have them planting the seeds at the end. I thought that was a really sweet ending. They planted an apple tree in his memory. Really sweet. And they'll never run out of apples. So, and of course the ending, I'll go ahead and talk about the ending, because we're kind of on the Rebecca note. But Rebecca's mother-in-law, reads the article, and it shows Olivia's picture of Rebecca in the paper. So now Jim's parents know where Rebecca's at, and I kind of thought next episode would delve into this, but it looks like that's going to be like a season finale type thing. We're going to get some sort of cliffhanger. Jim's parents are going to show up, and it's going to be this whole mess. Alexander's not going to trust Rebecca. Hattie and Olivia are going to be caught in the middle. Tom's going to be conflicted. It's definitely going to provide some good drama coming up for next episode and going into season 2. So I'm very curious what happens there. But I thought this episode handled grief really well. I did enjoy it. And there's a couple other plot lines going on here. This land argument between Doyle and Tom reaches a breaking point. Doyle is filing a land patent for the land so he can claim it as his. So Tom goes ahead and files one too. But this leads to a briefing basically in the boarding house where Alexander brings the two of them together to do their argument. And although Doyle did file the patent first, so by law he would get the land, and not Tom. But Alexander says something his dad taught him, and he decides to do what he thinks is fair and what's right because Tom has kept that land in check, so he gets the land. So I thought that was a really nice way to settle it, and I liked Alexander listening to his gut and going kind of like the way that, like the hard route and not the easy route by just going with what the law says. And, he might get in trouble for that. It's hard to say. Probably not. I don't think it probably won't be a big deal, but I like that he went with what he knew was right, what his heart was telling him. So I liked the way they went about that. Definitely a good moment for him. Again, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about Alexander, but in a moment like that, I thought he did the right thing. He was also respectful to Rebecca by saying, I don't, she doesn't deserve to hear all of this, and I'm sure she would love to have some peace in her house. So. And, of course, we get Rebecca kind of looking at Tom when he gives his speech about the land. There's some cute stuff here, too. But, yeah, I really enjoyed episode 6. There's also this plot where Rachel and Lars, they think they have to leave because, they're not making enough money. They have to move on. Lars has to find new work to provide for his family. But Rebecca finds a way for them to stay by allowing them to take over the mess tent, so that way she just has to focus on the boarding house. That makes total sense. She shouldn't be doing both. A common thing in this world is that women have like 3, 4, 5 jobs or something, and 2 max. She's a mother, and that's a job of its own. So, that in the boarding house is plenty for her, especially with her baking stuff too. That's more than enough. So I thought that was a perfect role to give to Lars and Rachel, and allowing them to stay. I really like how they've tied in Ned Yost's parents into the storyline. It makes total sense, and it really provides that connection to the original series that I definitely think we need for this. So yeah, that's episode 6. Definitely my favorite episode so far. And I think I liked episode 7 a little bit better. It was called Desperado. And this was actually, like, I enjoyed it. There was, like, some tense stuff in this episode. Basically, this little boy, or not this little boy, this probably teenage young adult boy named Eli. He's a horsebreaker, which I like because, like, I mean, I've seen that on Heartland. That's pretty common. He's a horsebreaker, though. And apparently he broke someone's, saying he broke someone's horse sounds like it wouldn't be what it actually is. He's gentling, he's working with the horse, and he was supposed to get paid, but they refused to pay. He ended up getting shot, though, because he stole the horse to try to claim as his own because he thinks that he rightfully deserves the horse. But he gets shot, so he comes to this little town, he comes to Coal Valley, or whatever you want to call it, and he takes Rebecca hostage, and Tom shows up, so then he takes Tom hostage. He ties them up in chairs, but then he has to, Rebecca really wants to check his wound because it's clearly infected and he won't survive if she doesn't get the bullet out. So he lets her take the bullet out. And at first, Tom's doesn't trust him. He doesn't think they should give him the benefit of the doubt. He thinks he's lying. He doesn't think he deserves to, but Rebecca's very adamant that, he deserves a life. He deserves to live his life in peace. He has so much ahead of him. He doesn't deserve this. And Tom starts to see things from her perspective too, and the two really work in tandem, and it's a really cool dynamic. They're really learning to respect each other more. And by the end, the people looking for Eli, they show up at Tom's house. Tom's house, and they take Eli to Alexander. And so they let Alexander handle it, and Eli's going off with him. But they work in, if Rebecca and Tom, they needed each other at that moment. And if one didn't have the other, it would have gone badly for them. The gun was empty, so they probably wouldn't have gotten shot, but something probably would have gone wrong. And they really needed to be partners in that moment. And they worked really well together. So while the plot was kind of a filler, it did provide some tense moments, and it provided an opportunity for Rebecca and Tom to work together side by side and use their different perspectives to combine together to take on this Eli boy, this situation, and figure out a way out of it. And again, I thought that provided some really good stuff for them, showing that they can work together as partners, especially in tense situations. So, and by the end, he says, "You're no shortage of courage," and she says, "Same to you." So I'm conflicted. I'm not sure. It hasn't been long since she lost her husband, so I'm personally thinking they might just drag this out for a season 2, especially because I think there's going to be something with Jim's parents. So I have a feeling that they're going to wait until that whole thing is resolved with them before they kind of go the romance route. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get something until season 2. I'm more than okay with that. I'm okay with them taking their time here, developing the relationship. Elizabeth and Jack, they did share their first kiss at the end of season 1, but it's not like Elizabeth had just lost her husband either. So it's a completely different thing. So I thought this works. I'm enjoying the slow progression of their relationship, but they're just getting to know each other, and I really like their dynamic. So we also have Alexander and Olivia going fishing, and this was really cute. They have chemistry. I'll give them that. Something I forgot to mention in the previous episode is because Clayton doesn't have much to do in these episodes, but Clayton is not happy when Alexander comes back at the beginning of last episode. He's not even trying to be polite about it. You can tell he's not happy. So, and I'm really curious because Olivia seems like so oblivious to the fact that Clayton and Alexander like her, but the way they're not giving her and Clayton a scene of them going fishing where they're touching, we don't see that, but they're giving it to Alexander. So I just have a feeling that they're still going to go the Alexander route. I think her and Clayton have potential, but they're just not putting in the energy with them. They're not putting in the same type of momentum with them. So I have a feeling that she'll probably kind of go with she'll probably go with the mount with Alexander, but I could be surprised. Maybe they'll go in a different direction, especially if there's some drama with the Rebecca situation. I could maybe see that turning her away from Alexander and maybe towards Clayton. But we find out that she got accepted into this art school, and so she might be leaving for that. So we might not see her make a decision. We could see the season ending with her leaving, and they could very well do that. I would not be surprised. I highly doubt she's going to kiss one of the guys next episode, but she might start to question, like, oh, maybe I like one or both of these guys in different ways. We might maybe see her admit it to someone, maybe her mom, or maybe one of the guys will make a move on her. It's hard to say. I think there'll be something, but I don't think she'll, like, make a choice per se. We only have one episode left. I don't think that's going to happen. But the fishing scene was really cute. And we find out that he actually knew how to fish with his dad, but he pretended like he didn't know so she could teach him, and basically for her to, like, touch him and, like, help him fish. I mean, it's probably not okay for him to lie. Not the best thing, but it was kind of sweet, let's be honest. They definitely have chemistry, and he's easy on the eyes. So I don't blame Olivia for wanting to spend time with him and to fish with him and to teach him how to fish. So I don't blame her for that, and she's beautiful too. So I'm pretty confident that they'll probably go in the Melody direction, but I'm not. I don't think Clayton's off the table. We're just gonna have to wait and see what happens in the finale. But I'm very curious what they're gonna do with Olivia. Is she going to accept the school? I'm conflicted, because she likes to be around her mom, and she doesn't want to be apart from her. She doesn't want her mom to be alone, especially with her father gone. So that might hold her back, but I have a feeling she's going to take it. And I have a feeling that she's going to take it, and then next season the love triangle will continue. And now this time she'll definitely have like a decision to make. So I'm curious how they'll go about it. But I really enjoy the Hattie and Olivia scene too, where she says, "I'll miss you so much, but you know what's right for you. If you want to do this, I will fully support you, and I'll be proud of you for it." And it was a really nice scene between them. Really, again, the mother and daughter parallels are really well done between Hattie and Olivia, and then Rebecca and Sarah. I really enjoy those relationships that they're building there, and I really liked when we see Rachel struggling with baby Ned, and Hattie helps out. And honestly, the actress who plays Rachel, I mean, I don't know all the actors on this show. I would have to look it up, but the actress who plays her, she did a really good job when she was struggling with being a mom. Completely relatable. Probably one of the better acting performances I've seen so far on this show. They're very down to earth, very understandable. All moms go through this, especially when their husband's off, doing other stuff, working. It's very common to feel alone and to feel like you're messing up and that I'm not a good mom. I feel like that's very common. So I really enjoyed those scenes, and seeing Hattie offer to help out with Ned just shows how big of a heart Hattie has. So really like those scenes. I think the Ned's parents are great additions to the show, and I really like that they're keeping them around to tell those stories with them, to really feel like this is also in the same universe as When Calls the Heart. I really like that. And the gold miners. So we have this guy showing up, and he's very suspicious. He's very odd. He's kind of weird around Hattie at the trading post. And yeah, he's definitely drawing up suspicion. He's up to something we see in the final scene. So I have a feeling he's going to cause some kind of conflict next episode. With what and whatnot, but I don't know. That was kind of a weird addition. I didn't think that was needed in the episode, but we'll see. We'll see what leads to that. I definitely think next episode it looks like we're going to be seeing a party for the board house officially opening, and my guess is we'll most likely see Jim's parents showing up. That's my guess, and Olivia will make a decision about her school. Is she going to go to the school or not? And I think we'll get a little bit of love triangle development too. So, and of course, whatever's going on with this new gold mining guy. I'm looking forward to the finale. I'll be back to review that next week in episode 8. So comment down below, what did you think of these 2 episodes of the show? And I'll see you guys soon. Bye, everyone.